two's a crowd. Freeze a party, come move around like first rush when the school is out, when the booze is up, when the sun is down. Enjoy the ride, got some pillows in the Chevy. Hey, hey, it's like a die, laying low, hitting heavy. Take your time, let me know when you're ready. Couple months I've been messing with this steady. Open for plans tonight. Lost in the afterglow. Oh, girl, your love for me keeps calling me, so I'm calling you. Love, give me life to find. I long for your company. Oh, girl, your love for me is a part of me, my biology.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. So, been a while since I posted, but we're here today with Ashley's car, her 34 behind us here. And today we're going to be doing something a bit special. So, as some of you may know, Ash bought this car as a factory auto, and what we're going to be doing today is converting this car to manual. So she's super excited. It's been a long time in the making. We've had all the parts waiting for a very long time, and today we're finally going to put it all together. What we're going to do is split this up into a part-by-part series. Because it's a very long process, we don't want to have like a 40-minute long video. So the best thing that I've come up with is to just do certain parts for certain sections of the process. You know, there'll be a part of, you know, what parts we've got, you know, pulling the old gearbox out, getting rid of the auto stuff, putting the manual in, the conversion, etc. One thing I will mention, this is an R34 gearbox, brand new, that we have bought. We have decided to convert it from pull type to push type, so there is a conversion for that. We have all the parts to do that. I've previously already made a video for this, so if you do want to check that out, I'll link that up on the screen somewhere so you can go check that out if that's what you're wanting to do. And when it does come time to doing that on Ash's gearbox, I won't record that because the video's already been done. If you guys want to see how to do it, it's all there so you can check it out. Regardless, first thing we're going to be doing today is, like I was saying, going through the parts. So if this is a conversion that you are wanting to do, we're essentially going to go through, list out every individual part, why we've got it, where it goes, etc. Just so you guys know, if you want to do this conversion yourself, exactly what parts you need, so you don't get stuck halfway through and you're missing one piece. The only part that we're a bit on the fence about is the auto cross member. Until we actually look at it, we don't know if it's the same as the manual one, so keep that in mind as we go through these parts. You'll obviously see that later on when we put the car up in the air. But first things first, we'll go through some parts. Alrighty guys, so first box we've got here, these are all parts, well 95% parts from Kudos Motorsports. Those of you that don't know, Kudos is a big supporter of the channel, and they are the main sponsor for this video series. So if you are wanting to get these parts, be sure to get in contact with them and they'll be able to sort you out a quote, and they should be able to get you every single part you see here today. So keep that in mind before we go much further. So what I'll do is go through each individual part, bit of a quick rundown, and then pass them off to Ash, and you can do what you want to do with them. Put them on the ground or sort them out somewhere. He was like, what do I do? So first things first, obviously being a manual transmission, we're going from a torque converter and flex plate to a flywheel and clutch. So right off the bat, I'll bring these right up so you can see, we've gone some ARP flywheel bolts. There's no reason why you can't use a genuine Nissan set of flywheel bolts, but it's actually cheaper to go ARP ones, so we thought may as well just do that. Obviously you get a bit better clamping force out of an ARP bolt, and they are supposedly better, but from a price point they're cheaper, so it was kind of a no-brainer for that one. So that's our first little item. Next one we've got here, there's your part number, just so you can see that, if we can get some focus.
We can list all the
There you go. So yeah, I'll also list up little part numbers on screen as I go through each item, just so you guys know. This is just a little circlip, and what this circlip does is retains this little speedo cog, and this sits on the end of the speedo drive. The speedo drive is different between the auto and manual boxes, so we've got a new speed sensor in here somewhere, and this is the actual gear and circlip that goes on the end, because they aren't included with the sensor in the box, so they are for you. Next little things we've got is when you convert over to manual, the brake pedal and the obviously clutch pedal because you don't have one. The brake pedal also needs to be changed because the auto brake pedal is quite long, so you want to convert to the smaller manual pedal so it does fit next to the clutch. When you do that, I believe these can only be bought second hand, so if you want to buy a set of pedals, you're going to have to find them through someone parting out a car or a local wrecker. As far as I know, you can't buy them brand new, but I could be wrong, so I'll have to find out on that. But regardless, however you get these pedals, you're going to need retaining pins, and all these is those little pins there. I've got two because there's some for my car, but one for the clutch pedal, and then one for your brake pedal, and then the little circlip pin retainers that are also included. Again, these are all genuine Nissan bits from Kudos. These are like $15, so really cheap. A lot of people just use a bolt to support them, but if you can get the right stuff that actually fits, you may as well just buy it because it is cheap. Next thing we've got is going to a manual box. We no longer can use the auto shifter. So there is our shift knob. Again, brand new Nissan parts, very nice and shiny and leathery and fresh. Compared to a lot of Skylines out there, you won't see a lot in this condition.
And they're cheap too, because you bought one as well.
Yes, they are very cheap. Under $100 for a brand new shift knob. So if you're thinking of going a fancy shifter or shift knob or whatever, keep in mind that a genuine one is quite cheap for what they are. We've got a big bag of stuff here, so I'll go through this and see what we've got. I don't even know what's in this box, to be perfectly honest. Alrighty, so we've got a couple of little circlips. So clutch fork pivot ball spring, so that goes in the back of your clutch fork. Again, I'll list part numbers up on the screen. What have we got here? Clutch fork bearing carrier spring, so that sits in your bearing carrier and that retains the bearing.
Wow.
So they are for you. Another one we have here is a little snap ring that retains the actual shifter into the top of the gearbox. There's one snap ring that comes with the gearbox that we'll show you in a sec, but you do need two. So you've got one that sits on the bottom, then the shifter, then the little ring that sits on top of that, and then this is the actual ring that snaps into place and holds it all together. That second ring essentially spaces it out. If you don't use that, your shifter will pop out because it's not tight enough in there.
Speaking from experience.
Yes, I've had that happen. The next thing we have here are some bolts.
Don't know where they're from.
Yeah, I don't know what these are for, but we've got some bolts. Cool. Drop some bolts. I don't actually know what these are for. They're for something, but
I mean, we wouldn't have given them to us if they weren't for anything.
yeah, they're important.
We'll figure it out as we go.
They're important for something. I don't actually know what they're for, but there you go. Bolts. Oh, they are. These are all transmission bolts to mount the actual gearbox to the motor. You can probably use the ones from the auto box, but you can buy a brand new set. Again, cheap. They're all the right sizes. Happy days. Those are also what these are. More bolts. There's just a heap of separate bags. They're all split up, and then a little nut, which is also
A singular.
So all of that stuff is all your essentially bell housing bolts, and you can buy those as a complete kit from Kudos. So if you do want to go that route, again, get in contact with them. Now, getting into our next part here, if I can open it. So this is our front cover. If I can open it, there we go. So, like I was saying, the R34 gearboxes, when you buy them new, are a pull type gearbox. We have decided to convert to push type, so this is our front plate that goes on the gearbox that we will need. Comes with the pivot ball and everything all there ready to go. So that's fancy, you can have that back, probably drop that in as well. So yeah, pretty and shiny, all brand new bits, which is awesome. Again, ARP bolts, we've done the exact same thing with the clutch bolts. So happy days, they're cheaper than OEM and ARP. So,
And don't they come with the torque specs as well?
yeah, so they'll come with torque specs as well, so you can't really go wrong.
This is RB26. Woo!
Fancy. So next thing we have here is our speed sender for the manual transmission. Like I was saying, doesn't come with a little cog or circlip on the end, so that's why we have those separately. They are different between auto and manual, so make sure you get yourself one of those. Go. The brand new gearbox does not come with a speed sender. It comes with a neutral switch and a reverse switch. That is it. You need to get yourself a speed sender or you will be in trouble. Alrighty. So obviously going to a manual, we need to have a master cylinder. So there is our clutch master. Nissan, genuine, everything's going to fit, it's going to be fine. You will find out later in this series that you do have to cut a hole in your firewall. Obviously there's nowhere for it to go now, so we have bought a hole saw that suits that, and I'll go through sizing that you need, etc. when we get to that. But yeah, that's our clutch master. Next thing we have here, we've seen our master, and now we have our slave. If I can get this out. There we go. Clutch slave cylinder. And because we are doing a push type conversion, these are all actually R33 parts, the master and the slave. So if you do want to keep your gearbox pull type for your 34, you will need slightly different parts. But again, tell Kudos what you want. If you want to keep it pull type, you just tell them that you need R34, clutch slave and master. But if you want to have R33 push type stuff, you need the R33 related items. But just let them know what you're wanting to do and they'll be able to sort out the exact part list you need. All the parts bolt on regardless if they're pull or push type, so it's a very easy conversion to do. There you go. Next thing is our clutch fork. Just pull this out of the box, the bag. Nothing fancy, you've probably all seen a clutch fork before, but there we go, we've got our spring sitting over there somewhere for that, so we'll be able to assemble all of that. Clutch fork is another thing that is different between pull and push type, same with your release bearing setup and all that kind of stuff, so keep that in mind. Tell them what you want, they'll be able to sort you out, you don't have to stress too much about it. They know what they're doing, so they'll be able to sort you out. Alrighty. Keeping with gearbox kind of stuff, here is our release bearing carrier. So we have the bearing sitting with the actual clutch, comes in the clutch kit, so we need the carrier itself, otherwise we can't do much with it. Another piece. Alright. Figure out how these boxes work.
This one. Oh yeah.
Got it. So this is a bit of a fancy one. Everyone's got a different way of doing this. Some people like to use their auto one and just make it fit. We like to do things the proper way, we'll call it. So this is actually a R34 Manual surround piece. And that is a brand new, genuine Nissan piece. You can still buy these brand new. It's really cool because it actually comes with a shift boot as well. And you can get these to match the colour of your interior. There's a few different options. You've obviously got your grey, silver kind of colours. There's a black, you've got brushed aluminium, and I think there's another colour out there for the GTRs. But you can get those to suit, and your little ashtray holder thing fits in, so nothing to worry about there. You swap everything else over. You've got a fresh, shiny piece with a new shift boot. Looks awesome with your new shifter. So, is an optional thing. You can buy those from a wrecker, but most of the time it's actually cheaper to buy these new. I think they're just under $300, but it's a brand new piece. It looks good. It's fresh. You make the decision yourself. There you go. But that is what we've decided to do. Back to our clutch or clutch master and slave. You also need a line. You can get a hard line, which is what they originally come with a little dampener in them. Again, from a price point, it's actually cheaper to just get a GK Tech braided line. So very, very simple. It's just a braided line. Both ends go straight from the master down to the slave. Super simple, easy as. So not only is the shift knob different, the actual shifter assembly itself is. So there is our fresh shifter. That's all awesome. New boot and everything. A little bush on the bottom's all there, so that's essentially ready to drop straight into the gearbox. That's awesome. There's a bag for that. The other little bit we have here is actually a dust boot for the gearbox, and this is what your clutch fork will slide through. So that just sits on the outside of the gearbox doing its thing, so that's cool. Again, gearbox does not come with this part, so you will need it. go. This isn't from anyone, we bought this from Super Cheap. This is just a drill bit that you will need to cut into the gearbox. So the only thing, or modification that you have to make, it's a main like drilling into stuff modification for the pull to push conversion, is you have to drill some holes into the side of the gearbox. They give you the provisions of where to drill. It's just so you can make some new mounting holes to mount the slave to, because the push type slave sits on the opposite side to where the pull type is. Like I was saying, I have made a video on this already, so if you do want to see that video, it was linked earlier. I'll link it again. I'll just put it down in the description just so you guys can check that out if you're interested. But yeah, that's our first little box here. So we'll move on to our next set of stuff now. Alrighty, our flywheel. So this is just from a wrecker. Got it pretty cheap. It was just under $100 from memory. We've just got this all freshly machined, so that is all ready to be bolted on. I'm fairly sure you can still buy these brand new, genuine. Not sure of pricing or availability. We didn't actually check, but if that's something you're interested in, you can get in contact with Kudos and they will find out for you. As well as the flywheel, we also need the sandwich plate. They are also different between auto and manual, so as well as the flywheel and clutch, you do need the sandwich plate. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, these pedals I don't believe you can still buy new, but we have them here. It's awesome. Yeah, these are the manual brake and clutch pedals. Little fun fact for you guys, you can actually buy these from an R33. They are essentially a bolt into an R34. There's one bolt which is slightly different, but you can get away without actually bolting that in. But we will show you that when we get to the stage of actually sitting these in the car. But keep that in mind, R33 pedals will fit. Tail shaft is another thing that is different between auto and manual. Another cool little fun fact, R33 ones do also work. Considering the R33 and R34 gearboxes, the actual housing is the same. So length of the shafts and stuff is all the same as well between 34 and 33. So this is just a 33 tail shaft from a wrecker. You got the front and rear half. What I usually like to do is the front half is what you're getting to actually suit your gearbox, and the rear half will suit your diff. So get a front R33 section, that goes to your gearbox, and then I'd bolt your standard 34 section onto the rear. There are some variances between ABS models, non-ABS, turbo, non-turbo, so find out what combo works for you, but general kind of way to look at it, front section, suit the gearbox, rear section, suit the diff. So you guys have to figure that one out on your own depending on your series, but for us, we'll just bolt this to our rear half and you will see that later on in the series, and it's a super simple process. So our final part before the gearbox is the clutch itself. Ash has opted for a heavy duty Exedy clutch. Another cool little fact, this is actually an R32 GTR clutch. They're a lot cheaper than some of the other clutches out there, and this is the exact same clutch I ran on my sedan and coupe while it was still running, and this was able to hold 400 wheel horsepower with no problems at all. Pedal feel is very close to standard, and it's just a nice driving organic clutch, so there's no stupid drivability issues. They drive really nice. They're pretty cheap for what they are. This was sub $500. Comes with a spigot bearing, which you do also need for your manual swap, and a release bearing. So highly recommend this kit for the price. Again, part number will be up on the screen now, so you can take these part numbers straight to Kudos or straight to Nissan, whoever you want to buy through. I do recommend Kudos because they will be able to be cheaper than Nissan, and they can generally get the parts a lot quicker than Nissan can anyway. They do keep a lot of the stuff on shelf here on the Gold Coast, so if you are chasing any of these items, get in touch with them. Anyways, last item is our gearbox, so we'll drag that over and show you what that's all about. It's the first time Ash would have actually seen the gearbox, so I bet she's super excited. Anyways, we'll drag that over and take you guys with us. That's what we've got. There it is. Nice shiny gearbox. As I was saying, you've got your neutral and reverse switches. They are all included. You've got your one snap ring that sits inside the gearbox shifter area, so that's sitting there, that's cool. It comes with all the push type stuff already installed, so all of that will be coming off.
Just on that?
Yeah, you can. So just note that these do come pre-filled with oil for transport reasons. Don't use this oil to run the gearbox up. So drain this out before you do the conversion if that's what you're doing. Otherwise, put it in the car, drain it out, and put new stuff in. Nissan's pretty good. They supply bungs with everywhere where it can leak out of, so you're usually pretty good putting it in the car. But for those of you doing a pull-to-push conversion, don't take my word for it, just watch the video that I've made. Everything's going to make a lot more sense. Yeah, your life will be a lot easier. So yeah, that is all our parts. I'll adjust the camera and give you guys an outro. Alrighty, so now you've seen all the parts that you need to do a manual conversion on your R34. Now the fun begins. We're going to start tearing into this car and pulling all the old stuff out and making it manual. If everything goes to plan, we should be able to drive this out of here today.
No,
Right?
I don't reckon.
We'll see how we go. Ash doesn't believe me, but
I reckon if we would, that would be insane.
I reckon we could. Yeah. I'm confident. We've got all the parts here. They're all new. Nothing's broken, kinda. But
What?
we won't know until we get
Something's
there.
broken?
No, we're all good. So, everything's sweet. We've got all the parts. Some stuff might fit, some stuff might not. But don't know until we actually start. So, we're just going to get stuck straight into it. But this is the end of this part. You guys know what parts you need now. So, if that's all you wanted to know, then thanks for watching. But if you want to know how to put it all in the car and what to do, we're going to go through that step by step in the next part. So, next part of this series, pulling the auto box out. We'll see you guys then.